We'll get this question a lot again next week. How can the auto industry be doing so well and the auto capital of the world be in bankruptcy? This is a fascinating dichotomy, and I think I'm going to ask Doug to sort of speak to this first. Somebody else wants to jump in. We do have this situation where we've got Detroit at sort of this crossroads with municipal bankruptcy. At a time when the auto industry is doing well, and that some of our cities around the state, Grand Rapids is that kind of a nice cachet building. It's a cool city built around Arch 5 and some other things. Where do we stand? How much does it matter on the talent side and others that we have our major city in the predicament that it's in, and what do we do about it?
I think it's huge. I mean, the reality is that when you go outside of Michigan, Detroit has a much stronger brand identity than does the state. In fact, I'd argue that even our universities may have a stronger brand identity than the state itself does. And so if Detroit is having problems, image-wise, that affects how people see Michigan, how vibrant they see our state. But at the same time, I also would say that I've never been more optimistic about Detroit than I've been in the last 20 years that I've now lived here in Michigan. I mean, in the 20 years I've lived here, I think I've heard of at least 3 renaissances that were in the works. I honestly feel like this is one that actually has legs. Now, it's not going to be resulting, I don't believe, in what we see downtown, midtown, across the whole city overnight. But if you can even have the downtown and midtown areas really have a different image to people that are coming in here, I think that's going to carry over to a great degree to how young people, particularly not only in Michigan but outside the state, see this place as a place to live and do business. If you're looking at the kind of, for example, folks that Charlie and Jay just talked about, who want to get new technology workers here in our state, how they see Detroit is going to make a big difference for our whole state.
One of the things, we've got to get out of the bankruptcy fast. I mean, it's a timing issue. Because once you go outside of the Michigan area, I don't know if you go to Asia or Europe or wherever you go, the Detroit bankruptcy is the first thing that's involved. It's a global issue, and we don't want to be identified as being a place with those kind of problems. We need to resolve it and just move on quickly.
Charlie, any thoughts on that?
We need to resolve it and move on. I follow the reports as closely as I can. I gotta say, I'm not sure exactly what it's gonna look like. But it would be much better for moving forward when it is going to resolve. Because as long as that cloud is hanging over Detroit and over Michigan, it's that much harder to move forward. Because right now we're uncertain about who's going to get X number of cents on the dollar and who's going to get some different number of cents on the dollar. And that uncertainty does make it such that investors are reluctant in ways that they won't be reluctant to invest in Michigan once that's resolved.